The first mistake was not made with weapons or threats. It was made with certainty. The Galaxy Council believed it. Understood humanity from its great ring station above a blue-white star. The Council watched thousands of young species rise and fall. Some burned themselves out with war. Others faded through fear. A few survived by becoming useful. When humans reached beyond their system, the Council saw another developing race, loud, fast, emotional, and dangerous if left unchecked. So the Council acted early. Kim Do-yeon stood inside the glass hall of the Council station, his hands folded behind his back. He had trained for years to keep his face calm, even when anger burned in his chest. The hall curved upward like the inside of a shell, filled with floating lights and alien forms seated in wide arcs. No two species looked the same. Some breathed mist. Some shimmered. Some spoke through machines. Humans were still new here. That alone made every movement heavy. The meeting had begun as a celebration. Humanity had been invited to observe council processes, a sign of growing trust. Kim had felt hope when he arrived. Earth had worked hard to earn this moment. Then the word seizure was spoken. It came through the translation field. Soft and polite. The council speaker explained it like a simple correction, kind made to fix a small error. Several human juveniles have been taken into protective custody, the speaker said. This action was approved under Article 7, Subsection 3. Kim did not move. His mind needed a moment to catch up. Taken? He asked. For observation, the speaker replied. Your species demonstrates early combat training patterns. Emotional conditioning. Group loyalty reinforcement. We have determined that your juveniles are exposed to psychological stress unsuitable for a developing civilization. The words were calm, reasonable, deadly. Kim's heart began to pound. Where are these children? The council did not answer right away. A pause passed through the chamber, as if the station itself was thinking. They are safe, the speaker said. They were collected from an off-world research habitat. No force was used. Kim felt the floor tilt beneath him. You abducted our children. The word abduct did not translate well. The field reshaped it into something softer. The council did not react. This is not abduction, the speaker said. This is prevention. Kim turned his head slightly. He could see the other human observers behind the barrier. Their faces had gone pale. One woman pressed her hand to her mouth. Another whispered a name. Names mattered on Earth. Park Hannah read the alert twice before she believed it. She sat in a quiet analysis room, surrounded by screens filled with slow-moving data. She had spent her life studying alien cultures, mapping their values, predicting reactions. She had argued many times that the council feared instability, more than violence. She had never thought they would touch children. The report was short, too short. It listed numbers, locations, and a single phrase. Protective seizure approved. Hannah pushed back from the desk and stood. Her hands were shaking. Across the hall, Lee Jisoo looked up from her terminal. You saw it, Jisoo said. Hannah nodded. They think they're helping. Jisoo laughed once, sharp and empty. They think we won't respond. On a research habitat orbiting a distant gas giant. The children had been studying algae growth. That was the reason they were there. Not training. Not weapons. Science.Choi Yuna adjusted her tablet and frowned at the numbers. This can't be right, she said. Before anyone could answer, the lights changed. The habitat did not shake. There was no alarm. The air simply grew still, and the door slid open without a sound. Tall figures entered, moving with careful steps. Their bodies were wrapped in soft armor, their faces hidden behind smooth masks. They did not raise weapons. They did not shout. A voice filled the room, calm, and translated, Remain seated. You are not in danger. Yuna's heart raced, but she stayed still. She had been taught to observe before acting. One of the figures gestured. Glowing bands wrapped gently around the children's wrists. Warm, not painful. Why? Yuna asked. The figure paused as if surprised. She spoke. You are being protected, the voice said. From what? From yourselves? On the council station, Kim Do-yeon felt something inside him crack. "You did this without consent," he said. "Without warning. Without understanding?" The council speaker tilted slightly. "Understanding is not required when risk is present." Kim took a slow breath. "In human law, children are not assets. They are not subjects. They are not tools." The chamber hummed with quiet interest. "They are our responsibility," Kim said. "And you have violated that responsibility." Silence followed. Then the speaker said, "Your reaction is noted, not apologized. Not corrected, not reversed." When the meeting ended, the humans were escorted out with careful politeness. No one touched them. No one threatened them. That made it worse. Back on Earth, the silence began. No fleets launched. No threats were sent. No speeches filled the networks. Instead, meetings were held behind closed doors. Psychologists spoke before admirals. Teachers were asked questions meant for soldiers. What does a child mean to you? What would you give to bring them home? Hannah watched the answers come in from every nation. Different words. Same meaning everything. On the holding station, Yuna sat beside the other children in a wide room with soft light. The guards stood at a distance. Food was provided. Medical scans were gentle. No one screamed. No one cried. That confused the observers. "They should be distressed," one analyst said. "They are," another replied. "They're just not breaking." Yuna listened to the quiet hum of the station and thought of Earth, of rain, of her mother's voice. She folded her hands and waited across the galaxy. The council recorded humanity's lack of response. They logged it as compliance. They did not yet understand what silence meant. And in that silence, something vast began to move. The holding station moved in a slow circle around a dim orange star. From the outside, it looked peaceful, almost gentle. Smooth metal arcs reflected the light, and no weapons were visible. That was how the Galaxy Council liked its prisons. They did not call them prisons, of course. They called them shelters. Inside, Choi Yuna learned the pattern of the days. The lights brightened and dimmed on a steady cycle. Meals arrived at the same times. The guards changed shifts with quiet steps and careful distance. No one raised a voice. No one touched the children unless needed. Everything was controlled, clean, calm to calm. Yuna sat on the floor beside a wide window and watched the star drift past. Around her, the other children talked in low voices. Some played simple games with bits of light projected onto the floor. Others rested. They were afraid, but fear did not rule them. "What do you think they want?" one boy asked. "To study us," another answered. Yuna shook her head. "No, they already think they know us." The others looked at her. "They want to prove they were right," she said. An alien observer watched from behind a clear barrier. Its body was tall and thin, with long arms folded across its chest. Its name did not translate well, so the human records called it Observer 9. Observer 9 had studied many young species. Most cried. Some screamed. A few tried to fight. These children asked questions that worried it. "Subject group remains cooperative," Observer 9 said into the record. "Emotional response is controlled. Group cohesion is high," another observer replied, "that confirms the assessment." "Early conditioning," Observer 9 hesitated. "Or trust," reply came cold. "Trust is irrelevant." On Earth, trust was the center of every discussion. Park Hannah stood before a long table filled with people from different fields. Soldiers sat beside teachers, doctors beside engineers. No one wore uniforms. They took children, Hannah said. Not soldiers. Not leaders. Children. A man across the table leaned forward. "The council believes they prevented future violence." Hannah nodded. "Then we must show them what violence really looks like without using it." Lee Jesu spoke next. "The children are alive. Treated well. That matters." "It matters to us," Hannah said. "Not to them." And she touched the screen behind her. Images appeared. Records of human wars. Of restraint. Of lines humans refused to cross even when it cost them. "We do not strike first when words can work," Hannah said. "But when children are taken, words must carry weight." A general cleared his throat. The fleet is ready. Hana met his eyes. Not yet. Silence followed, far from Earth. Kim Do-yeon watched the council move forward as if nothing had happened. New trade talks were scheduled. Votes continued. Delegates argued about borders and resources. No one spoke about the children unless Kim forced the issue. They are safe. The council speaker repeated for the 5th time. You should be grateful. Kim's voice stayed calm with effort. Gratitude is not possible when consent is ignored. The speaker tilted. Your emotional response is noted again. Kim realized then that the council did not understand anger unless it came with noise. Humans were being too quiet. Back on the holding station, Una was invited to speak with a council cultural specialist. The room was round and empty except for 2 chairs. The specialist was small, with wide eyes and soft skin. It smiled often. You may sit, it said. Una sat. We want to help your people, the specialist said. Why? Una looked at it carefully. By taking us? Yes, it said, as if the answer were simple. Your kind teaches children about conflict very early. Una thought of school drills. History lessons. Stories about mistakes. We teach so we don't repeat them, she said. The specialist blinked. Conflict avoidance is preferable. So is consent, Una replied. The specialist paused. You are very composed, Una shrugged. We trust our people. That answer was logged, replayed, studied. It spread through the council systems faster than expected. Trust our people on Earth. Messages were written and rewritten, not threats, not demands. Statements. Lee Jisoo helped draft the final version. Every word was weighed. It did not mention revenge. It mentioned responsibility. It mentioned children. When the message was ready, it was not sent immediately. Hannah waited. Why delay? Someone asked. Because silence makes them careless. Hannah said, the council grew confident. They extended the observation. Period. They shared early findings with academic pride. Some even praised humanity for producing such calm. Juveniles. That was when the message arrived, not to the public networks, to the council. Alone, Kim Do-yeon stood in the chamber as it played. The human voice was steady, clear. You have crossed a line that does not belong to you. The chamber grew still. This is not a request. This is a notice. Several delegates shifted. You have taken what we are sworn to protect. Kim watched their reactions closely. Confusion. Mild concern. No fear. This action will not be ignored. The message ended. No. Threats followed. The council debated. Some argued for release. Others warned against appearing weak. They voted to continue holding the children. On the holding station, the lights dimmed for rest cycle. Una lay awake. She felt the station change direction. A small shift. Almost gentle. Somewhere far away, humanity had finished listening. The quiet phase was ending, and across the stars, those who had mistaken silence for acceptance would soon learn the difference. The message reached Earth before the council finished arguing about it. It arrived in fragments at first, carried by long-range relays and translated by layered systems. When it was whole, it was played in rooms filled with people who did not speak, not because they did not understand, because they did. General Seo Taeyang stood at the front of the chamber, with his hands at his sides. He wore no decorations. None were needed. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. They have chosen to keep the children, he said. No one reacted at once. Some closed their eyes. Others stared at the table. Park Hannah sat still, her fingers locked together. She felt a quiet certainty settle in her chest. The listening phase is over, she said. No one disagreed. Across Earth and its colonies, systems that had waited for years began to wake. Not weapons first, but connections. Secure lines opened between governments that rarely spoke directly. Old disputes were paused without argument. Lee Jisoo watched the data flow increase on her screen. They're responding faster than expected, she said. Because this is simple, Hannah replied. They touched our children. In the council chamber, Kim Do-yeon was summoned again. This time, there were more delegates present. Some watched him with interest, others with concern. The council speaker addressed him with the same calm tone as before. The council has reviewed your notice, it said. It lacks actionable detail. Kim met its gaze. That was intentional. Clarify, the speaker said. Kim took a slow breath. Humanity considers the continued holding of our children an act of war. The translation field struggled for a fraction of a second. Then the chamber erupted. Voices overlapped. Appendages moved sharply. Lights shifted color as emotional states spiked. War. One delegate echoed, You threaten the council? Another demanded. Kim did not raise his voice. We are not threatening. We are informing. The speaker called for order. Your species lacks standing to declare such a state. Kim shook his head slightly. War does not require permission. Silence fell. On Earth. The declaration was sent outward. Not. Shouted, not broadcast to civilians. Delivered. Directly to the council and every member. State. The words were plain. Humanity declared a state of war. The cause was stated in a single line. Unlawful. Seizure of human children. The goal was listed. Next, immediate and safe return. No. Territory demanded. No resources claimed. The galaxy had never seen such a declaration. Military analysts across council space struggled to classify it. This is incomplete. One said, They have no conquest plan, said another. They must be bluffing, the third concluded. On the holding station, the guards received new orders. Increase observation. Limit contact. Prepare for transfer. Yuna noticed the change at once. The guards stood farther back. Their movements were sharper. The room felt tighter, even though nothing had changed. They're afraid now, one child whispered. Yuna nodded. Not of us. Outside the station. The first human ships appeared. They did not jump close. They did not power weapons. They waited. From a distance, that signaled restraint council sensors lit up with warnings. Unknown. Fleet detected, an officer reported. The reply came quickly. Human. Panic rippled through the council. Networks, emergency sessions were called. Some members demanded immediate retaliation, others urged negotiation. They declared war, but they are not attacking, one delegate said. That makes them unpredictable, another replied. General Seo Taiyang watched the fleet projections from a quiet command room. Hold. Position, he ordered. A junior officer hesitated. Sir, the council may strike first. Seo shook his head. Let them decide who they are. Park Hannah stood beside him. If they fire, the galaxy will see it. And if they don't? The officer asked. Then they will still see something, Hannah said. Back on the council station. Kim Do-yeon was confined to his quarters. Not arrested, not harmed, contained through the clear wall. He watched traffic increase as vessels rushed to defensive positions. He felt no fear. Only a heavy sadness. We warned you. He whispered to the stars. The council speaker addressed an emergency assembly. The human declaration is emotional, it said. Their fleet posture is symbolic. Some delegates were not convinced. They are too organized, one said. And to calm, the calm is an act, another argued. They seek advantage. No consensus formed. That delay mattered. On the holding station, Yuna was called again to speak. This time, more observers were present. You must tell your people to stand down, a voice said. Yuna looked at the speakers. You took us, she said. Why would they? You are endangering yourselves, another said. Yuna's hands tightened in her lap. You already did that. The observers exchanged uneasy signals. She does not sound frightened. One noted she sounds certain. Another replied. Certainty was spreading across human space. People prepared not with fear, but focus. Supply routes were secured. Evacuation plans were updated. Then set aside, schools held quiet discussions, parents. I spoke calmly to children. No one pretended this was small, yet no one. Panicked, the council finally voted. They would hold the children until humans withdrew their fleet. The message was sent. General Seo Taiyang. Read it once. Then he looked at Hannah. They still don't understand, he said. Hannah nodded. Then we proceed, gave a single command. Begin recovery operations. No fireworks followed, no sudden attack, just movement. Human ships shifted position with precise grace across the galaxy. Sensors tracked the change, and for the first time, fear entered the Council's calculations. Not because humanity was loud, but because it was done asking. The first human strike did not look like a strike. No ships rushed forward. No weapons flashed. From the Council's view, space remained calm, then systems began to fail. On the outer defense ring near the holding station, warning lights flickered. A relay went silent. A navigation buoy drifted off course, its guidance wiped clean. Council officers stared at their panels. This is interference. One said, no. Another replied, this is removal. Human ships moved with careful distance, never crossing the line that would trigger automatic fire. Instead, small craft detached and vanished into shadows. Too quiet for standard scans. Captain Moon Sejin watched the operation unfold from the bridge of her ship. Her voice stayed even as she spoke to her crew. Remember the priority, she said. No civilian harm. No unnecessary damage. Yes, Captain, came the reply. The crew did not cheer. They did not rush. Each movement was measured. This was not revenge. This was recovery on the holding station. The air felt different. Yuna noticed it during the rest cycle. The steady hum changed tone just slightly. The lights dimmed for a fraction of a second longer than usual. Something was happening. The guards felt it too. They spoke more often, their voices tight. One checked a door seal 3 times before stepping away. They're close, one whispered. Another replied, stay alert. Yuna sat with the other children in a wide circle. No one cried. No one asked when they were going home. They already knew. Far above them, a human drone slid along the station's outer shell, its surface dark and smooth. It cut no holes. It fired no tools. It simply listened, mapped, and passed the data along. Within minutes, the station's layout was clear. Council commands struggled to respond. They are inside our network, an officer reported. How? A delegate demanded. They are not attacking our core systems, the officer said. They are isolating them. One by one, Council ships found their weapons offline. Engines still worked. Life support held steady. But targeting systems refused commands. This violates engagement law, a delegate shouted. No, another replied quietly. It avoids it. Kim Doyen watched the reports from his confined quarters. His heart beat faster with each update. They're doing it our way, he murmured. On Earth, Park Hana followed the operation in silence. Lee Jizoo stood beside her, arms crossed. They're giving the Council every chance to stop this, Jizoo said. Hannah nodded. And every chance to see. Council speaker ordered a broadcast to the human fleet. You are escalating, said Captain Moon, Sejin answered. We are advancing, she said. There is a difference. The speaker paused. Withdraw your forces and negotiations may resume. Sejin's reply was calm. Return the children and recovery will end. No other terms were offered. On the holding station, emergency doors sealed sections one by one. The children were guided into a central room under heavy guard. Yuna walked without resistance. A guard glanced at her. You should be afraid, it said. Yuna looked up. You should be careful. The guard said nothing. Outside, a Council cruiser attempted to reposition between the human fleet and the U-Man fleet and the U-Man. Its engines cut out mid-turn. The ship drifted. Powerless but unharmed. Human command logged the action as a success. No casualties, an officer reported. Good, Sejin replied. Keep it that way. As the hours passed, council defenses collapsed without a single explosion. Power grids rerouted themselves. Into safe mode, security fields dropped. Escape routes opened. To the council, it felt like the station was choosing to surrender. Inside the children's room, the lights brightened suddenly. A new voice filled the air. Do not be alarmed, said Y. UNA recognized the tone. Human, we are here, the voice continued. Please remain where you are. One child gasped. Another laughed softly. Yuna closed her eyes. On the bridge of her ship, Captain Moon Sejin exhaled. Contact established, an officer said. Proceed to extraction. Sajin ordered council leadership panicked. This is an invasion. Out. One delegate cried. No, another said, watching the data. This is a retrieval. Kim Do-yeon was released from confinement without explanation. An escort guided him quickly through quiet halls. Where are we going? He asked. To witness, the guard replied. They arrived at an observation deck just as human boarding teams entered the station. The teams moved slowly. Weapons lowered, hands visible. They did not fire when confronted. They disabled guards with precise, non-lethal force. Council security broke ranks. Within minutes, not from fear of death, from confusion. This is not how wars are fought. One officer muttered. No, another replied. This is how parents fight. Yuna watched as the door to the room opened. Human figures stepped inside, faces visible. Eyes scanning the children first. One knelt. We're taking you home, figure said. YUNA stood. We knew you would, she replied. Behind the scenes, council networks flooded with protests and alarm. Member worlds demanded explanations. Some questioned the original decision, others feared what would come. Next, human ships did not pursue fleeing council. Vessels, they did not press. Deeper, they held position. Once the children were escorted safely aboard human transports, Captain Moon Sejin issued the next command. Cease advance, she said. Her crew looked at her. That's it? One asked. That's all we came for, Sejin replied. From the observation deck, Kim Do-yeon watched the human fleet begin to pull back. He felt a strange ache in his chest. They will never forget this, the guard beside him said. Kim nodded. That was the point. Across the galaxy, news spread fast. Humanity had declared war, then stopped, and the council, shaken and exposed, began to understand the cost of touching what humans loved most. The transport ship was quiet as it pulled away from the holding station. Yuna sat strapped into her seat, hands resting on her knees. Around her, the other children watched the stars shift as the ship turned. No one spoke for a long moment. The silence felt full, not empty. Then someone laughed. It was a small sound, shaky and sudden. It spread quickly. Relief broke through fear like light through clouds. A human medic walked the aisle, checking scanners and smiling gently. You're all doing great, she said. We'll be home soon. Home, the word settled deep in Yuna's chest. On the bridge, Captain Moon Sejin watched the navigation line stretch toward human space. Maintain escort formation, she ordered. No pursuit. Yes, Captain. Human ships formed a careful shell around the transports. Not tight enough to look threatening, not loose enough to invite danger. Behind them, the council station drifted in stunned silence. Kim Do-yeon stood on the observation deck as the last transport departed. He felt the weight lift from his shoulders, replaced by something sharp and steady. It's done, he said. The council speaker stood nearby, its posture rigid. You could have destroyed us, it said. Kim turned. We didn't come to destroy. You humiliated the council, the speaker replied. Kim shook his head. You did that yourselves. Across council space, reactions came fast, on one world. Students marched in open plazas, holding signs translated into dozens of languages. The words were simple. Children are not weapons. On another, a senior delegate resigned during a live broadcast. Admitting the seizure had been approved without full review. You don't learn morality from charts, the delegate said. You learn it from consequences. On Earth, Parkhana finally allowed herself to sit. She watched the return feeds as the transports entered safe corridors. Li Jusu stood beside her, eyes wet but smiling. "They're safe," Jusu said. Hannah nodded. "Now the galaxy hears them." Children's arrival was not announced with ceremony. No banners, no speeches. Families waited in quiet hangars, hands shaking, hearts racing. When the doors opened, the sound that followed was not loud. It was deep. A shared breath released after too long held. Yuna stepped onto the deck and saw her mother running. The moment they met, the galaxy faded. Later, cameras recorded Yuna sitting before a council inquiry panel. She spoke plainly. "They did not hurt us," she said. "But they did not ask us either." Her words were replayed everywhere. Alien children listened. Parents listened. Leaders listened. They thought they were protecting the future, Yuna continued. But they forgot we are part of it. Council pressure grew. Member worlds demanded safeguards. Younger species questioned older ones. "How could you let this happen?" Became a common question. The council speaker requested an emergency address with humanity. This time, Kim Do-yeon was not alone. He stood beside Park Hannah and General Seo Taeyang. The speaker began carefully. "The council acknowledges errors in judgment." Hannah leaned forward. "Then correct them." "We propose joint oversight," the speaker said. "Shared custody protocols." Seo's voice was calm but firm. "There will be no custody discussions about our children," the speaker hesitated. "Then what do you demand?" Kim answered. "Recognition of what?" "That children are not leverage," Kim said. "Not data. Not threats." The council chamber was silent. Finally, the speaker said, "We will amend council law. It's on the edges of known space." Human fleets remained in holding patterns. They did not advance. They did not withdraw completely. Their presence was steady, visible. Patient military analysts struggled to label it. "It's deterrence without aggression," one said. "It's parenting," another replied. Among the council species, stories spread of humans who stopped once their children were safe, of fleets that could have burned worlds but chose restraint, of a war declared for love, not power. Some dismissed it as performance. Others felt something shift on Earth. Schools held open discussions. Teachers explained what had happened in simple words. "We stood together," one teacher said, "and we did not lose ourselves." Yuna returned to class weeks later. Her friends listened as she described the station. "It was quiet," she said. "That was the worst part." A student raised a hand. "Were you scared?" Yuna thought for a moment. "Yes," she said. "But I trusted we mattered." Council finalized new rules. No juvenile of any species could be taken without full consent. Independent. Review was required. Violations would trigger automatic sanctions. The vote passed narrowly. The records showed many abstentions. Fear had not vanished. But doubt had changed sides, Captain Moon. Sejin received new orders. "Begin phased withdrawal," command said. "Maintain readiness." She nodded. Understood. As her ship turned for home, she looked once more toward council space. "They learned," her first officer said. Sejin shook her head. "They're learning," the council station. Repairs continued. A small plaque was installed near the central hall. It listed a date and a short line. "Remember what was taken. Remember what was returned." Across the galaxy, the word spread. Humanity had gone to war. And stopped. Because the goal was never victory, it was the children and that lesson. Would echo long after the fleets were gone. The council chamber felt smaller than it once had. The wide arcs of seating were full. Yet no one seemed comfortable. Delegates shifted, adjusted translation fields, and avoided looking at one another. The great conflict screens at the center of the hall showed no battles, no explosions, only records, dates, votes, decisions, and one line that would not go away. Protective seizure approved. Kim Do-yeon stood in the center of the chamber again, but this time he was not alone. Parkana stood at his side, her posture straight, her face calm. Behind them, observers from several human colonies watched in. Silence. The council speaker began without ceremony. The council acknowledges that its previous action caused destabilization, it said. Hannah tilted her head slightly. That is an incomplete description. The speaker paused. Clarify. You caused harm, Hannah said. You just did not feel it. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Kim spoke next. We are not here to assign guilt, he said. We are here to prevent repetition. A delegate from a senior species rose. Your fleet still holds position near our borders. Yes, Kim replied. Because words alone did not protect our children. Another delegate hissed softly. Is this a threat? No, Hannah said. It is memory. Across the chamber, younger species listened closely. They had watched the recovery. They had watched humanity stop. That mattered. The council speaker activated a display. Images of the holding station appeared, followed by footage of the extraction. You violated council sovereignty, it said. Kim did not argue. Yes, the chamber stilled. We did, Kim continued. Because sovereignty does not excuse cruelty. A ripple of unease passed through the hall. On one of the outer tiers, a delegate spoke hesitantly. If the council had taken soldiers instead, Hannah cut in gently. You would have learned nothing. The speaker turned its attention back to the humans. What do you seek now? Kim answered without pause. Law. Silence followed. Not favors, Kim said. Not apologies. Law that applies to everyone. The council began debate. Some members resisted. Such rules will limit preventative action, one argued. Good, Hannah replied. Others feared precedent. If humans can cross borders without punishment, Co Taiyang's voice came through the chamberlink.com and steady. Then perhaps borders should be treated with care. That ended several arguments at once. Outside the chamber, human fleets remained visible, but inactive. They did not reposition. They did not withdraw further. Their presence was not aggressive. It was patient. On the council station, workers passed one another in quiet halls. Repairs continued, but the mood had changed. Where there had once been confidence, there was now caution. An analyst reviewed old files late into the cycle. She stopped at a small clip Joy Yuna's interview. The analyst replayed the line. We trusted our people. The analyst leaned back. Unsettled, the council session stretched on. Votes were taken, amendments proposed, language refined. At last, a revised statute was projected. Juveniles of any recognized species were declared inviolable. No seizure, no detention, no experimentation. Violation would result in immediate sanctions. And joint enforcement. The vote was close. When it passed. The chamber remained silent. Kim exhaled slowly. Hannah closed her eyes for a brief moment. The council speaker addressed them again. The statute is approved. Will humanity withdraw its forces? Co Taiyang answered. Yes, in stages. Why not immediately? A delegate asked. SEO's reply was calm. Because trust also recovers in stages. The council accepted that, across the galaxy. The announcement spread, news feeds translated the law. Into hundreds of forms, alien parents watched with interest. Some with relief, some with fear. On Earth, Park Hana stood in a quiet room and watched the final vote confirmation. Li Jisoo entered softly. It's done. Hannah nodded. It's begun. At a school on a coastal city, a teacher paused a lesson. There was a vote today, she said. It was about children. A student raised a hand. Us, yes, the teacher said. And others like you. The class grew thoughtful in human space. Fleets began their slow withdrawal. Not rushed, not hidden. Each movement was logged and shared with council monitors. Captain Moon. Sajin watched her ship ease back along the border. They're watching closely, her first officer said. They should, Sajin replied. So they remember. Kim Do-yeon prepared to leave the council station. A junior delegate approached him hesitantly. Your people could have ruled us, it said. Kim shook his head. We don't want subjects. What do you want? The delegate asked. Kim thought of Yuna's words. To be asked, he said. The transport carrying the human delegation departed the station. Behind it, the council ring turned slowly in space. It looked the same as it always had, but it was not across the galaxy. A quiet understanding took hold. Humanity, drawn a line, not in territory, not in blood, but around its children. And for the first time, the council truly understood what it had faced. Not an enemy, but a people who would not bend when it mattered most. The council chamber felt smaller than it once had. The wide arcs of seating were full, yet no one seemed comfortable. Delegates shifted, adjusted translation fields, and avoided looking at one another. The great conflict screens at the center of the hall showed no battles, no explosions, only records, dates, votes, decisions, and one line that would not go away. Protective seizure approved. Kim Doyon stood in the center of the chamber again, but this time he was not alone. Park Hannah stood at his side, her posture straight, her face calm. Behind them, observers from several human colonies watched in silence. The council speaker began without ceremony. The council acknowledges that its previous action caused destabilization, it said. Hannah tilted her head slightly. That is an incomplete description. The speaker paused. Clarify. You caused harm, Hannah said. You just did not feel it. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Kim spoke next. We are not here to assign guilt, he said. We are here to prevent repetition. A delegate from a senior species rose. Your fleet still holds position near our borders, as Kim replied, because words alone did not protect our children. Another delegate hissed softly. Is this a threat? No, Hannah said. It is memory. Across the chamber, younger species listened closely. They had watched the recovery. They had watched humanity stop. That mattered. The council speaker activated a display. Images of the holding station appeared, followed by footage of the extraction. You violated council sovereignty, it said. Kim did not argue. Yes, the chamber stilled. We did, Kim continued. Because sovereignty does not excuse cruelty. A ripple of unease passed through the hall. On one of the outer tiers, a delegate spoke hesitantly. If the council had taken soldiers instead, Hannah cut in gently, you would have learned nothing. The speaker turned its attention back to the humans. What do you seek now? Kim answered without pause. Law. Silence followed. Not favors, Kim said. Not apologies. Law that applies to everyone. The council began debate. Some members resisted. Such rules will limit preventative action, one argued. Good, Hannah replied. Others feared precedent. If humans can cross borders without punishment, Co Taiyang's voice came through the chamberlink.com and steady. Then perhaps borders should be treated with care. That ended several arguments at once. Outside the chamber, human fleets remained visible, but inactive. They did not reposition. They did not withdraw further. Their presence was not aggressive. It was patient. On the council station, workers passed one another in quiet halls. Repairs continued, but the mood had changed. Where there had once been confidence, there was now caution. An analyst reviewed old files late into the cycle. She stopped at a small clip Joy Yuna's interview. The analyst replayed the line. We trusted our people. The analyst leaned back. Unsettled, the council session stretched on. Votes were taken, amendments proposed, language refined. At last, a revised statute was projected. Juveniles of any recognized species were declared inviolable. No seizure, no detention, no experimentation. Violation would result in immediate sanctions. And joint enforcement. The vote was close. When it passed, the chamber remained silent. Kim exhaled slowly. Hannah closed her eyes for a brief moment. The council speaker addressed them again. The statute is approved. Will humanity withdraw its forces? Co Taiyang answered. Yes, in stages. Why not immediately? A delegate asked. SEO's reply was calm. Because trust also recovers in stages. The council accepted that across the galaxy. The announcement spread, news feeds translated the law into hundreds of forms. Alien parents watched with interest, some with relief, some with fear. On Earth, Park Hana stood in a quiet room and watched the final vote confirmation. Lee Ji-soo entered softly. "It's done." Hannah nodded. "It's begun." At a school on a coastal city, a teacher paused a lesson. "There was a vote today," she said. "It was about children." A student raised a hand. "Us, yes," the teacher said. "And others like you." The class grew thoughtful in human space. Fleets began their slow withdrawal. Not rushed, not hidden. Each movement was logged and shared with council monitors. Captain Moon. Sajin watched her ship ease back along the border. "They're watching closely," her first officer said. "They should," Sajin replied. "So they remember." Kim Do-yeon prepared to leave the council station. A junior delegate approached him hesitantly. "Your people could have ruled us," it said. Kim shook his head. "We don't want subjects." "What do you want?" the delegate asked. Kim thought of Yuna's words. "To be asked," he said. The transport carrying the human delegation departed the station. Behind it, the council ring turned slowly in space. It looked the same as it always had, but it was not across the galaxy. A quiet understanding took hold. Humanity, drawn a line, not in territory, not in blood, but around its children. And for the first time, the council truly understood what it had faced. Not an enemy, but a people who would not bend when it mattered most.